Is Win and back around? Are they around? Oh, yeah. Hi, Win.
Hi, Anthony.
Oh, okay. So I think we can begin the call, and it's we are trying to access the agenda for today. I think I know one of the agenda, as in we can begin with to-dos from last week's meeting, and I think we just had one which was Regan to test with the two approaches of embedding multimedia to Muzima forms. So I think we can begin with that.
Yeah, okay. So just so that I can remind everyone, the idea, the context was that we had proposed two methodologies of embedding multimedia content. The first was to have the multimedia content launched on a separate activity. So you would have an intent which would launch another screen which would display the content, or the second was to have the media inline, which is within the form. So unfortunately, I really haven't had time to work on that, to develop that form, but it has been something on my list of priorities. So I'll try and get that done before the end of the week.
Okay. Anyone with any reaction to that?
Regan,
Yeah.
I think you said you suggested two methods
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I'm not sure if we discussed it. I remember having a discussion regarding this when I was in Kenya, when I was there. And we did all that structure laid out. So we had everything kind of in place. And I think you guys went ahead and do some other changes in that model. Is that what we are talking about here?
No.
Are we getting an echo? Are you guys getting an echo like me?
No. We don't have an echo.
Okay, I don't know why I'm getting an echo. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, so the initial idea was that if you are looking at a Muzima form, rather than having the pictures and the videos embedded within that form, like part of the form, you'd have a link. So, if you wanted to see the picture, you just click on the link. Then, like the Android, Muzima would launch an app for you to see that media. So if it's a picture, it will probably launch the gallery app. If it's a video, the video player, and like that. So you just have the links within the forms. That was the first suggestion. But then the second suggestion was that rather than doing that, we actually embed the pictures and the videos within the form, because that would have, I guess in my view, that would have provided a much more, I think it would have been a much better user experience to have the multimedia embedded inline within the form. So what I wanted to do was just to develop two simple forms, one with the links and one with the pictures, so that we can compare and see which of those would get. Because there are other concerns as well. There are concerns like the mobile phone. Most mobile phones have very little like real estate. They have a small screen, so there might be an advantage of putting a link instead of the picture there, and things like that. So we just wanted, that was the goal for us to do, just to build the two simple forms with both approaches and see which one works better.
Okay, thanks.
Any other thing? Oh, if there is nothing, then I think I can see back online. Now, I think we can now move to the EID presentation by back, if he is ready.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm late.
It's okay.
I was, I'm to give an EID presentation.
Yes, Mzee.
Yeah, apparently the echo coming from Reagan, so I mute Reagan for a minute. Berg, just to give context, I think we're trying to reassign the ticket from JARE to the developers in Kenya, or we leave it as unassigned, and there's a bunch of EID tickets, so folks is wondering what is the EID module and what it does. Carry on. We can push this to next week if you're not available today. I mean, not comfortable with today.
Yeah, I'm not in front of a computer right now, so it's a little harder for me to present something.
Yeah, we can. I guess we can move this agenda to next week then.
Do we have? I mean, we listed out. We have an epic for EID of things to do, of which 80% of it or more is already done. I think the part of what we wanted to do was we need someone, ideally someone in IT, but I think the developers are going to also need to be aware of and familiar with. We need at least a couple familiar with Mirth and how Mirth works.
And that would probably be Chege and Augustine for now. But as we propose to move to next week, I think we can also have them join the call.
Yeah, in terms of managing the queues, I think Chege and Augustine can do that. If it comes to needing to do transforms, that involves some JavaScript programming.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we didn't actually have much on the agenda for today. I think we can discuss anything that we can discuss anything that touches on our now that we don't have anything on the agenda.
So how close are we to having a process where developers, are all clear in terms of what the queue of work to be done is, and the process for new work coming in, how that should be handled? Is that working well, or is that in progress?
Yeah, that's working well. I mean, we're just starting off, so I guess the rough stuff is still coming up. But so far, it's been really nice. We've been focusing on a few tickets, forwarding some of them for approval, getting the approval, and then working on them. And it's been fun. I mean, I think this week, probably today or tomorrow, will probably be the biggest set of tickets that we dish out. So I guess that's when that's when we'll really see what the issues are. But right now, I think it's been nice. I mean, it's helped to clarify on what exactly we should be doing, and I think one of the really nice things, I guess, is now we can really just work confidently on our ticket because we know it's received approval and all that. So, also, perhaps in the next week or two, I'll probably be able to. We'll probably be able to give you more highlights on the really bad stuff. But for now, it seems like it's okay.
So where's the best place to go to see that work is being done by the development team?
Sorry, just say that again.
So for someone who was, say, had a ticket or one or more tickets that was going to be done, how is it? What's the best place for them to go to see where the queue is, where progress is, like what the development team is working on? Is there a summary page, or is there a dashboard in Jira that helps people understand what's being done right now?
Yeah, there is. There's actually a wiki page. It's titled Tickets Activity, and it contains all the tickets that we're working on and the various stages at which those tickets are. So some of them are awaiting approval, some of them have been approved, and so forth. So that's what we're using for now. But there's also another page which Win pointed out a while ago, the developer priorities page. So we're kind of we're feeding stuff from the developers priorities page, wiki page, into the tickets activity page. So our main reference is the tickets activity, but a lot of the stuff that we're putting in there is coming from the developer priorities page.
Okay, so the page you're referring to is called Ticket Activity?
Yeah, tickets activity Eldoret developer team. So just yesterday, so the workflow that we have is like, for instance, right now we've plowed through a number of our tickets. So we are very few remaining. So what we did through all the tickets that are pending, those are the tickets that are listed on this wiki page. And then each of us scored those tickets based on two things, based on how urgent they were and how important they were. So, for instance, there was a ticket which we defined was, this is something that's very important that needs to be done, but isn't too urgent. So we issue scores on both those two criteria. So all the tickets that scored really well, so we kind of like summarized all of them, and those are the ones that I'll be sending over for approval. So those will be like the next set of tasks that we'll be working on. But like I said, all that will be updated on that wiki page.
Cool.
Anyone with any other thing?
I have a question. In terms of approval, um, does it have to go back to Martin for approval, or does it go to the?
No, it goes to the respective PI. So if the reporter is the PI, then they approve it. But if the reporter reports to a PI, then they have to get their PI to approve it.
What if in a case whereby the reporter is not a PI and doesn't report to a PI? I mean, already see tickets that belong to, like, for example, one was filed by Eda.
Yeah.
Reporter is Eda, another one is me. I mean,
No.
am I supposed to approve that, or should I go to a different authority to approve? I mean, in terms, I'm trying to think through in terms of approval. Is it based on the content of the ticket, or just to say you can work on this?
No. It's actually based on the content of the ticket. So,
okay.
So like this ticket specifically is on creating the MOH blue card summary and attaching it to the patient summary.
Mm-hmm.
So since this is something that affects AMRS, this would have to be Martin's call. So
Okay.
Martin would approve it, even though Ada is the one who reported it.
Okay, sounds.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys got that.
Is there a size you're working on for tickets in terms of, like, if a ticket is going to take more than a week, or if it's going to take more than 2 weeks or more than a month? Is there a kind of size of amount of work that you're using to help scope tickets as well?
So what we're doing, what we did, for instance, what we did yesterday was, so a lot of the tickets, a lot of the guys here have had experience with them. So what we did is we more or less voted on the time it would take. So, like for instance, we'd point out a ticket, there's this ticket on a blue card summary, and then how much time they think it would take, and probably giving some input on why they think it would take that much time. So, so that time was also considered as would be approved, which ones we work on immediately. So it wasn't a very detailed analysis of like what it would take to get the ticket done. It was more like like an overview, like this would require this and that and this and that. So I think this would probably take 4 days or 5 days, and then so we just took that particular timeline and added it to the other metrics, and then used that to make a decision on what we should start working on.
Okay, cool. Are you putting those estimated times in the tickets themselves?
Yeah, so we will. So we only did this yesterday, and the whole of today we've been doing a lot of testing on Mozilla and other things. But this is something that I'll do before the end of the day. So you'll have the tickets activity. We'll have a list of which tickets are up for approval, with all that information on how much time we think it will take and all that.
Yeah. And I think I can also be consulted if there's any ticket that probably might be shelved for one reason or another, so that I can authorities, so that things don't fall off when actually we should get some activity from the people responsible.
No problem.
How about the status on hold, Regan? Do we have a flow for that?
Sorry, we got the first part, but we didn't get the last part of your question.
Yeah, I don't know what the preference is between like not holding all ticket that we cannot really work on, or to hold a lot of ticket but put on hold status? I don't know which one is better. Probably Bird can help us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't quite follow the
So
question.
before Buck answers, I think we haven't. So, well, Buck, I think asking is based on an issue we were discussing last time, which was status for some of the tickets as on hold. We could use that, but then when we started, kind of using that feature, evaluating it here within the team, we started wondering if there was need for an even more specific um, status, which is awaiting approval. So awaiting approval is more or less, it's kind of like on hold, except it's more specific. It shows that this ticket is on hold because it hasn't received approval. And we were asking for that particular status because it's so embedded in our workflow now. So I think that's kind of what Win is asking on which of the two is like a better fit. If I get you right.
Yeah, the intent of the intent of on hold was purely just to say this is in progress, but progress has been halted temporarily.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know, Ada. I mean, that's the same thing we were kind of thinking, that just saying on hold is not enough. That perhaps saying waiting for approval would be a more,
Yeah,
would
I
be more
thought we had
specific
something
and a
like
bit
that.
more,
I,
probably be more descriptive.
well, yeah, we'll have to look. That's typical to have a ticket that's new and then go through an approval process.
I think one of the conclusions we made in the last developer call is we would give the on hold status a try, so that we'd flag some of the tickets that were awaiting approval. We'd flag them as on hold and then indicate in the comments section of the ticket that the reason for that was because they were awaiting approval. So I
Yeah,
just wanted to try.
yeah. Well, I think we're confused on that then, because our intent for hold was purely to indicate that progress was being halted because there wasn't, either the person was on holiday or on break, or the right now there are other priorities. So it was when we created the hold, the intent of it was to say this is something that is in progress, but work is not happening on it right now, and not to use hold as just any reason that a ticket may be just like waiting for approval. To me is a different state, because there is, that's no one's working on that or about to work on that.
Yeah, that's more or less it, Mark.
Yeah, I agree that we shouldn't be using hold just for any reason that a ticket is not being worked on. If it becomes too much of a like if all it becomes is like at any point in the workflow we don't know what to do with the ticket, so we put it in hold, then people won't know how to interpret that. So I agree, if we don't have a waiting on information, if we don't have that part of the workflow, then we can add
So is it also possible, since this will be on hold and as a priority, you embark immediately on that particular ticket that was on hold, so that we don't end up working on other priorities and forgetting what is on hold. I mean, on hold can stay for quite some time if you have many priorities. So does it mean that once you are done with one priority, you go back to immediately you immediately go back to the ticket that is on hold?
Well, no,
Yeah,
and
my interpretation of
this
my
no,
my
go ahead.
interpretation of
Sorry.
on hold was that it was something that I would be working on, but because of either I'm away or I have other higher priorities right now, I can't work on it. But my interpretation of that is that we wouldn't allow someone to have 100 tickets on hold. That there would be, if someone has more than say 2 or 3 tickets on hold, then that becomes a problem.
Yeah, but that said, it doesn't necessarily mean that once we are done with the priority tickets that we begin working on the on hold tickets. Sometimes we might be working on a set of priorities and a new set of priorities comes. So so it's
Yeah,
not.
it's possible for you to have more than like what he says,
Yeah, yeah.
like having 100 issues on hold, which is not what you want to
No,
go
absolutely,
to.
yeah. No way.
So I think it's good to determine when to go back to the ticket on hold, so that you don't have competing priorities and then you end up having a bunch of tickets on hold.
Yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you, a typical workflow is currently we have 3 sets of priorities. Anything that's Muzima related is a priority. Anything that has to do with registers is a priority, and anything that involves providing MOH data back to the field is a priority. So we might receive a ticket now and place it on hold, right? And hopefully finish all the tickets that relate to those 3 categories. Then once we are done, if no new set of priorities comes up, then we might work on the stuff that's on hold. It just really depends on how the on hold ticket fits into the whole priority matrix. That's really, yeah.
Yeah, you might want to take tickets that are, if they're not high enough priority and no one's going to be working on them right now, rather than just making a large bucket of tickets on hold, just move that ticket, unassign it if it's not doesn't need to be assigned to that person anymore, or they can reclaim it when they're going to work on it, um, and move it back to ready for work if nobody is going to be working on it at any time soon. Use the hold to indicate I plan on working on this, but right now I can't get to it right now, so don't expect that this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think even during the last developer call, we made a similar suggestion. So that's what we'll probably do. We'll just leave a ticket unassigned until when we feel we are close to working on it, and then put it on hold. And that'll only be for a set of 3 or 4 at the most.
Yeah, and if someone isn't actively working and doesn't have any near-term plan on working on something, then they shouldn't have it claimed and have it in any kind of in progress or hold status, because that then becomes that.
Yeah, but I think the way we created that on hold status is it is in such a way that the only way you can go from on hold to on hold is when you're coming from in progress status. So it's not possible to create a bunch of tickets and just put them on hold before first going through in progress. Of course, you can forge by going through in progress and then go to on hold, but that's not how we expected it to be used. So basically, it is this on hold thing has everything to do with the developer. It's like you're the dev and then you get something new that is higher priority than what you're working on, or you are going on leave. Actually, I think that last time when we were discussing about this, we were talking about somebody being on leave, or maybe attending something else, or working on something that has higher priority. So you will see that the only way you're going to put tickets on hold is if you are already working on them and then something comes up that prevents you from keeping working on those particular tickets. So basically, we don't have a workflow where we just coming, we just create tickets and then we say, okay, you know what, since we're not going to work on this, we put them on hold. That's not how we intend that to be used, unless we have thought about it in different way that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, I think the challenge is, and what we want to avoid though, is that someone plans to work on something. They say, I'm claiming it, it's in progress, and then they get something slapped on their desk that's higher priority, so they put the first one on the hold. Pretty soon they have and queue just gets large. So I think by keeping a cap and saying there should never any one person, something should never be on hold if it's not assigned, and any person should never have more than two or three things on hold. If they have they might have more if they go on leave and they're the only ones who can work on those tickets, and those tickets are okay to wait until they get back, they could put them on hold. But in general, if someone has more than a couple of things on hold, then they probably should be unclaiming, unassigning themselves from some of those tickets.
The discussion that we also had yesterday, I think with Wheeler and Regan, I think some of the tickets reassigned also needs the status applied accordingly, because some of them were in progress, and yet we know probably it might take time before there's engagement. So probably we need to rethink of how to update the status for those reassigned tickets based on this discussion.
Yeah, the challenge is with workflows is to find just the right number of statuses. You don't want too few so that people can't interpret them, but you also don't want to have 100 statuses because people can't understand or interpret that. So usually it's coming up with a compromise that is somewhere less than a dozen statuses and names and something that's easy to understand. And the way to figure those out is to find out which of those really are useful to the team in terms of interpreting where the work is. But it's easy for a workflow to get so detailed with 100 different statuses, and then it becomes people spend more time working.
Yeah, so I think we all agree that we need that waiting for approval status. Yeah, but I think some of these statuses, they can be a bit confusing, because if you think of something like under review, you're not really sure if it is whether the ticket that is under review or the work that has been done that is under review. So I don't know, but I think you might want to be careful with the kind of names you use for these statuses. For example, when you say waiting for approval, it can be confused with waiting for the work that has been done to be approved, while actually it is waiting for the work that is to be done to be approved. So yeah, but I guess I think we do agree that we need that status, so it can be one of the to-dos for this week.
Okay,
Right,
so
guys?
yeah, so are you proposing that we actually add the awaiting approval to do? Sorry, we kind of missed out on a part of it.
Okay, actually it's not Wayne, it was Wheeler who was talking. It's not that I'm proposing, again, it's just that I see that there's the importance of having that status in our workflow. I think we've
Okay.
already demonstrated that, so I see no reason why we shouldn't have it. Unless, of course, people have other thoughts about this, but I think it's important and we need to have it.
Yeah. No, that's lovely. That's lovely. That's wonderful, I think.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have it, I think.
Yeah.
Anything else can be done. Are you there? Are you guys still on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So do we have any other thing we can discuss?
At
Yeah,
some point, I'd like to talk about the ETL module, but I think I know Jonathan Dick is working on ways to give access, especially for Daniel, to the data, but we need to, I think at the point that we have some bandwidth or some space to work on supporting more general access to data, then I'd like to discuss as the ETL module as one strategy for getting that done.
okay, I have a question for you back.
Okay.
Yeah, yesterday when you were discussing about EID tickets, I noticed that there is one of the tickets that has to do with moving data or getting information from AMRIs to EID side. I'm not really sure what that means and what exactly is required on that one. Can you shed some light, please?
What's the ticket number?
Oh, the ticket number, that's the thing. I don't, because it is a different from the bunch of tickets that has to do with 192. I have to find it so that I can give it to you, because we have two sets of tickets on EID. There's one that is EID 192, no, AMRIS 192, and there's another one which I don't, unfortunately I don't remember the number. Okay, I can find it and then I'll give it to you.
Yeah, the epic is what everything should ideally be under. I think at one point you had created a to-do ticket that had a list of things in it as well.
Which one? I'm sorry?
I think there was a to-do ticket that referenced getting EID moving.
Yeah, sorry, we missed out on a part of the discussion, but I think back there were a number of tickets. You're right. I mean, they're all under one, and I think we were looking at that wheeler, right?
Yeah, it's AMRS 192.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
And there's more than a dozen, but there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are not closed yet.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the conclusion that we had yesterday was, that you guys would probably just give us some notes or a short presentation on what the work that was done was, so that we can have an idea, so that we can
Yeah,
review it.
you're speaking of AMRS 200.
I think it's 192.
Yes, but AMRS 200 is what you're asking for.
No, actually, I think I was asking on 192. Yeah, 100 is in it. But it was the one that we were discussing yesterday. And that's the one I was asking on.
Oh, you're not coming through the line right now.
Sorry?
You are breaking up. Oh, now it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, no, but no, I was saying that the ID ticket that I was referring to was to AMRS 192. 120 is with it, but one is, this is the one that we discussed on yesterday. We agreed that we probably have an overview on the whole process of linking with AMRS and on what has been done, what has been done in the closed tickets. We can follow up the tickets that are still pending and finally. You remember that, Pilar? Yeah, but I think so. We kind of broke off at some point. There was a discussion on the ETL, then it kind of flipped to 192. So that's what we're trying to, we're not quite sure. We're still discussing on. Is it the 192 or the ETL?
I think we're discussing one issue. EID issues.
Yeah, I suggested that I'd like to talk about ETL at one point, and then Willa asked about EID.
Okay.
We have a task under AMRS 192, that epic. One of the tasks is to get the developers up to speed in terms of how to how to work with Mirth and what we've done, what that is.
Yeah, there is.
Because I guarantee you, Chege and Augustine will, at some point, if they need to make any changes, they're going to require and be asking for developer help to make changes to Mirth or to deal with issues at times. Ideally, day-to-day operations should not be something that developers have to worry about. But if changes are needed or if bugs are found, then they may need developer assistance. So we want to make sure that you guys know what Mirth is.
Yeah.
Oh, did we lose you while I was talking? Or we did. So hopefully you can hear us. Regan, what I was saying is that for day-to-day operations, hopefully Chege and Augustine will be able to manage Mirth for day-to-day operations. But anytime there is a bug or a change needed, they'll need developer support to make those changes. And so that's why AMRS 200 is getting the developers up to speed in terms of what's done with Mirth. So we'll probably just need to get that scheduled on one of these calls.
See you
Okay.
next week.
Yeah, maybe we could just agree on when we want to have that. Do you think we could just agree on perhaps on having that discussion, that training on AMRS 200 sometime next week or the other week?
Next week.
Next week.
Yes.
Yeah, next week.
And I want yeah, and I want to invite Chege and Augustine if you allow me.
Yeah, of course.
Bugs.
Yes.
Actually, we have a bunch of epics related to EID. For example, there is one AMRS 211. It is talking about the EID can query AMRS for additional data on a cohort of patients. There is also another one, another epic, which is AMRS 213. It is talking about EID interface module providing basic data to EID. So we have a bunch of those actually. I just found them right now. So we have several epics. Anyway, one of them is closed, which is good, so we don't need that anymore. But this 211 AMRS 211 is still, actually it is new. It's a new epic. And it doesn't have subtask under it. It's just one epic. So that's the one I think I was talking about. EID can query AMRS for additional data on a cohort of patients. But I guess we can talk about this later because it has, I suppose it has to do with the understanding generally what EID is doing, what information is currently being supplied, and what needs to be added.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to load. Here it comes. Yeah, this is a different issue. This is the epic for 192 is about getting integration with EID delivering its data to AMRS.
Yeah.
The AMRS 211 is the opposite direction. It's EID needing to get data from AMRS, and so this is a module that they wanted to be able to query and take a cohort of identifiers and be able to query the AMRS system and find out who is in a program, who's enrolled, etc. So they want to be able to pull data out of AMRS.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. This was a high priority at the beginning of the year, and it seemed like a fairly small, not too difficult a task. Jeremy had started it, and we thought that might be an easy thing to pass to you, Willa, as a way to kind of get comfortable with writing modules, because it's a fairly straightforward module. But I think where we got stuck on two things. One is there was a issue in terms of granting access to the EID programmers to AMRS data, which we were trying to sort through, and I don't know where that ended up. But we tried to get an account so that they could test the module. And the other was getting the specific requirements from the EID team.
On to the account. I think the account is actually back on that ticket from Augustine and myself.
Okay, so we probably need to get that noted in terms of which account can be used, and then to contact the EID folks in terms of we were asking them to test and just make sure that they could access the module and it was working before, and we also need to get specifics on exactly what data they want in the CSV. So if we have an account now, then that could move forward.
Yeah, but why do we need to create another module for this? Why don't we just put all these EID-related tasks into the same module? We just have to create different functionality in the same modules so that we don't end up having multiple modules that are dealing with the same thing. Don't you think?
I think we're talking about the same module. I think the EID module is what this is.
Okay. Because I was hearing, okay, maybe I just didn't get it right. I thought we were supposed to create something else so that we can enable them to fetch information through that module.
Yeah, that's what the EID module is. The other stuff we were talking about in terms of delivering data, that goes through Mirth.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So I see when looking at the workflow for tickets, a ticket gets created and it's in open status, and then when it's approved, it moves ready for work. And I guess what I'm hearing is that there is a point at which a ticket has been opened and it has been vetted in terms of it could be ready for work, but it's waiting for approval. And that's the status we need to understand, is that the developer team has assessed it and is, could act on it, but it's just waiting for approval as far as funding or time or priority. And so that's the status we need, is between open and ready for work. Yeah, and we have the once something is ready for work, it can be claimed and can be put in progress, and at that point, it either goes back for waiting on information from the person who made the request, or it could go become under review or resolved, or it could move from in progress temporarily to on hold. And that's what we talked about before, and the intent of that was just, it's basically something's in progress, but it's set aside for the moment, for either because someone's on leave and no one else can take the ticket on, or there's other higher priorities. But I think that on hold is meant to mean this is something that I would be working on, but I'm currently distracted by other things, or I'm not available, and we should limit the use of on hold and definitely not use it for things that are waiting approval. So I agree. I think that I just wanted to get clarity on that discussion. I'm looking at the diagram now, so we'll get. I'll put a waiting for approval status in.
Oh yeah, thanks, Mark. That'll be awesome. Is it a diagram? It's not really. We should click
Okay.
Yeah. Is it possible to, sorry, this is just a suggestion. Is it possible to identify those different status and put so that one knows you begin from this status heading all the way to this?
like a workflow?
Yeah, exactly, like a workflow, so that it will assist people to understand clearly when you move from this, you go to this.
Yeah, sure. I'll
Yeah, it's tricky because we can show a diagram and we can explain it, but if you're overly prescriptive in terms of what step you must be in to go to another one, then it becomes annoying, because people sometimes, to get something to where they want it, they have to go through this step, then that step, then that step, if you're overly prescriptive. So we tend to allow the workflow technically to kind of move around, like you can close a ticket from any status, rather than having to jump through a whole bunch, because then it becomes a bunch of button clicking that's unnecessary. But maybe the better way to communicate the workflow is to have a diagram that people that don't understand it can look at. Which Jira provides that diagram. We can just make a copy of it.
Yeah. Okay. I think we are. It's already 4, and we should wrap it up. If there is something else that can quickly go through.
Yeah, actually, in the A or B, I was planning to go through some of the stuff been doing on form entry module, but I guess we don't have time, so maybe we should find another time for this.
Okay. So I think we can end the call, and we are very grateful for your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Well,
Ampath.
I'm more grateful for your time than you are for our time.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
All right, you guys take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Wayne.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Wayne. Bye, Eda.